It was wonderful. That was a beautiful time to be living.
Just a neighborhood that a bunch of friends you grew up with had a good time.
I had cousins. My mother had 41 first cousins.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And we all lived on the south side. But I had cousins, or I could just go to, my mother's youngest sister lived directly across the street. Her younger brother lived behind us. Then there was all her first cousins on Dwight, Ferris, Howard. I mean, we just took up all of the south side.
We had population growth because we started a black subdivision down here.
Right,
and that was probably unheard of.
We were just, growing up, we would just put in any kind of little spot they could give us. And there was no Sugar Hill back in those days. Those was just the woods. Evergreen Valley was all white. Evergreen Estates was all white. And if you go over on Pearson Road, by Basil Lane and Clover Line, those neighborhoods were all white. So that's how rivalries came.
And see, that's the south side. They always got a name for different places. The
Right.
north side don't do that, but south side, they got a name for every place. The Black Bottom is west of Saginaw Street, from probably the expressway to probably 14th Street. Well, it's down to the vets,
Yeah, to the vets.
But this is a area that has a lot of black population, so they call it a Black Bottom.
Elm Park.
We were Elm Park.
Yeah.
What did they call us? I was Broad Street, Haggerty
Street.
Court, DeKimbrough lived there. Then behind his place, they put Paradise Village.
I would say what Sugar
From
Hill started
Byrd.
from Byrd all the way
To the Dort
to
Highway.
Dort Highway. And back in the day, it was just a bunch of woods, and they cleaned it out, and we had a fair. You know, they bring the merry-go-rounds and everything. And so they decided to stop doing that, and they was gonna make a neighborhood. So the people that jumped on board at first, they got the most property. Once they built Sugar Hill, then Sugar Hill was now richer than anybody. You know, it's just people trying to move up a little bit.
You know who was first built there? Dr. Wilson. But Wilson was the first black out there. Then they started building. They started to build all these other houses out there. Where he built out there wasn't a street. The street was over the next street back there. He had to walk back through the mud, his house.
Okay.
He built a house right beside my house.
Okay.
Then we would build the one right across the street from him.
Right.
The white and the black folks on the north side called it Sugar Hill.
Yes, Sugar Hill.
They said they couldn't stay. They couldn't pay for the house.
Yeah.
But a lot of Southside people started in the industrial and St. John area, and they just moved there because, you know, everybody seeks a better neighborhood. They're from there. I mean, for somebody that got aspiration to do good for their kids, we're going to talk about them. Now, those attitudes that the folks might have had, I can't justify that, but they came from, everybody started, they was living close to Buick. You know, they was living close to those factories, and they gotta remember that in the 60s, you couldn't even go west to Saginaw Street. You had to be on the east side, on the Buick side, you couldn't go over there because it was white people. The reason we end up on the south side is because my uncle, my grand uncle, he stayed on the south side. And like I said, they were more stable neighborhoods. It was healthier than living at Buick. It was healthier.
Beautiful way to be raised because I felt safe. I could go to each house and spend time with the cousins, and so it was really a special place to grow up.
I don't want to say middle class black, but it was a working class black, and they did pretty well, and they was concerned about their neighborhood. You know, I used to think that some of my fellow students, that they were rich, and then when I got older and I got a job, and you know, I'm like, wait a minute, they ain't too much richer than I am, you know. And you know, we used to call them the bourgeoisie folks, but I guess we had to consider ourselves bourgeois. But we just had a job and we had nice homes and stuff, and that's what everybody wants. You want a nice neighborhood so your kids can grow up and, you know, be successful.
Growing up on the Southside, we had Scott School, Teen Club, Stewart School.
All the schools used to have roller skating. That don't even exist anymore. So you would go to community school, and then the people that want to be more sophisticated, they went to the Vets Club or the Golden Leaf, which is the oldest existing bar probably in Flint. Malcolm X went to the Golden Leaf. That's how old it is.
Yeah,
it's historical.
It's historic.
Right.
We used to have street dances.
Yeah, used to have street dancing.
Oh, that was
Right.
fun.
And the people from Elm Park, they used to have them over in front of Clifford Street Center.
Yes.
And we waited for the girls
Oh,
from
that-
Elm Park to get over there.
We didn't know nothing about
Doo-wop.
Yeah, we do doo-wop
There
and
was
all
one
that.
called
we
the
danced.
chicken.
The chicken, the Hully Gully, the Hully Gully.
Don't tell me about the Rialto. The Rialto. Yeah, right. You spend the night in there.
It didn't close.
It didn't close. It only closed for 1 hour. 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 6. Oh, I spent nights in there. 6 o'clock, but you got to get out of there because they're gonna sleep up. If you know the rat they had rats and roaches, they had everything in there, and you had to get out of there because, like I said, oh, they had good papa. Oh, don't tell me about them Coney Islands. Remember them Coney Islands? Oh my goodness, they had some of the best Coney Islands in the world downtown.
My whole family, we would walk from
Oh, you
Stanford
could walk-
Street and walk all the way downtown
Town.
and window shop and, you know, and stop and get something and then walk all the way back home. Over here, from all the way down to the river.
Yeah.
And then we would walk all the way back over here, like 3 blocks over there. On over into, well, I did have some uncles that lived over across on the other side of Saginaw Street too, going toward Beach. And one of them had a little store, a little like, you could buy thread and, where you could go get material.
That was called the square deal.
Yeah, the square
On
deal.
Saginaw.
Yeah, well, my grandmother's uncle owned one of those on the corner store.
On the south side, we had Bonton Cleaners, black owned.
Yes.
We had Cobwell, black owned.
Grocery store.
We had grocery store. We had Pharmacy, Wallace, Fish and Chip Place right on Lapeer. Spencer Funeral Home was on Lapeer. The Michigan Theater,
Yes.
right there on the corner.
Yes.
Hamilton Brothers, right there, on the corner.
Yes.
On Saginaw Street, on Southside. All the things. You didn't have to go nowhere. We had TV. Mr. Garner had the TV board. They had a TV. He had a repair TV, a camera shop. Julie's Pawn Shop was next door. Then you had a furniture store, Gardner's Furniture next door. You didn't have to go nowhere.
Well, we could get credited at Joseph's store. The Josephs had a store on Lippincott, and my grandma and them would send you down there to get stuff, and then on Friday they'd go and pay their little bill. No, well, we had
Mr. Kelly,
Mr.
too.
Kelly on one side, and the Josephs were lawyers mostly, but their parents owned that little grocery store.
My family has been here before Michigan became a state. My grandfather, my mother's father, was born on Kenilworth, which at the time was called Pine Street, in 1878.
Wow.
My grandmother was born on 9th in South Saginaw in 1879. So we've been here forever, and very proud of it too.
My family come from Ozan, Arkansas. It's around the corner from Hope, Arkansas, about 4 miles. And my uncles had came after getting out the Army and deciding to come to Michigan to get a factory job. So all the in-laws and the sisters and the brothers ended up on 729 Evergreen off of 12th Street, being a family, and when everybody was able to get a job and get on their own. But they was raised together and they helped each other make it in Flint, Michigan.
Brothers and cousins and other family members from Greta, Virginia. That's where we come from. I was born in Chatham. It's a little town outside of it. But most of my family came from that area, which is in the southwest part of Virginia. It's close to North Carolina. It's not North Carolina, isn't too far.
My family migrated to Flint in 1943. That was the beginning of World War II. And I was raised on 9th Street town. And I went to Flint Central, graduated, and I retired from Chevrolet. We call it Chevrolet in the Hole.
Growing up on the Southside, everybody was at Renewal Missionary Baptist Church. That's where everybody was. Started with a couple of members. They had a group meeting in their basement, and then they met on Clifford Street. They met on 12th Street, which back in the day was Ward Street, but now it's 12th Street. And they moved to Kenilworth, and it's the mother of the Baptist churches in the city of Flint. When we went to school, all our teachers, we seen them on Sunday because they went to the same church I did. It's like, man, we ain't never gonna get a break from these teachers. But they were some of the best teachers, and they put a lot into you. They gave you a lot and they expected a lot. And we had some of the best teachers.
I don't think you can have a town without a good school system.
You can't. You
Boy,
can't.
but
You
we
can't.
really had a school
Oh,
system.
we had the best in the country.
We're in the country.
In
When we
the
went to
country.
school, we didn't even go to Clark School. We had Elm Park.
That's
Elementary.
right.
That's what y'all went. Yeah, y'all went to Elm
We
Park.
went
Yeah.
to Elm Park until what, the second grade. We finished second grade, and
Then
then
the
the third
third
grade
grade
at
at
Clark.
Started at Clark School, And then we moved from 12th Street to Blades Avenue. Well, Burr and then Blades. But I ended up going to Stewart School, and from Stewart to Whittier, from Whittier to Southwestern. And going to school, we had a ball. We had a ball. We were just allowed to be kids.
I went to Clark School, and then, like I said, we went to Dordt School for a little bit, and then I ended up at Walker, and I finished Walker, and then I went over to Whittier, and then we moved out into Terrace, and I continued. I was in the 9th grade when we moved over to, when we moved from 5th Street to the Terrace.
But I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning, have breakfast with my dad, who worked at General Motors, and then my mom had a hard time getting me up to get ready for school. And if it wasn't for Sherry and Gloria, it was just like I knew we had to meet at that stop sign and go to Clark School. Went to Clark, went to our classes, and then met up again and came back home. And I've just gone Whittier. Southwestern, we were the first class, and you know how devastating that was.
Yes, I can imagine.
You can, because you grew up knowing that you were going to Central.
You mean
That's just part of the history. Yes, we were the first class to go to Southwestern. We protested, but it made no difference. We were there, and the small group of us that were there, we've all pulled together, and we survived.
We were able to spread out more because we were just in our one little community. But by the time they were building Southwestern and Northwestern, the city was spreading out more.
It was cross.
Yeah, right, because you could cross Saginaw Street.
Yeah, what
You
is
got
Gary Holt's?
people started moving across.
He was building out there, and then we had population growth because we started a black subdivision down here.
Most people, I don't know, a lot of people was here a long time. But most of you all was right down around in here. There wasn't very many people out here.
No,
This was the circus ground.
right.
Yes.
Right.
Right here, the circus would come. I can remember
Right.
all back out this way, very houses out there. That's what I feel. And because I can remember those little houses over there. They wouldn't sell them to black person. The guy that built over there was named Auger. And he said it would never be a black one over there when he built those houses.
I remember.
So I knew the guy that integrated to there. He was the first guy over there. He had a white man that would do it for him. Now, I can remember my sister, they bought a house down here on the creek down there.
Brookside.
Brookside.
Okay.
And they finally put the highway across, and she left there, and she was the first black that moved into Ottawa Hills.
Okay.
And when she moved in there, they had to get the Catholic priest to stay with her. Because August left from there and went out there and built. No blacks never was supposed to be in there. But now it's full of blacks.
They lost half of the other side of their customers when they built the expressway because they knocked down that business that was kind of like north of them. Dee Dee's and Shook's, those were black businesses.
Right.
And you lost them, and you just, you kind of wonder why.
Yeah. Tore the community apart because you could walk from one end of Wellington, out from Grand Traverse, all the way across Lapeer Road to the other end of Wellington. We just had a great neighborhood, and we didn't have to go out the neighborhood because we had everything we needed. You had the cleaners, you had the fish and chip, you had grocery store, Hamney Brothers, you had the ice cream, drugstore that sold, with the little stools you sit on and order your ice cream. And you had neighborhood mom and pop shop.
In the 60s, the middle class blacks and the professional blacks started to move away from those communities. But that was a pillar too, the church, and you had the upper blacks, middle class blacks living in the neighborhood. And then, when the expressway came, it opened up housing for blacks all over the place. And they start moving different places. Some move all the way out to Mount Morris. Mm-hmm. Some move Grand Blanc.
Well, I can tell you about what it was like when the expressway come through, because I peddled papers all down through there. And where City Hall was, and all on 9th Street. Well, blacks didn't live no further than they lived at 8th Street. And there was spotted,
that was
a lot of
quite a
Scottish
distraction.
was still in that area over there.
When they left the South, they came here because black men wanted land. And that's the first thing my dad looked at. And that's what hurts me so bad. That expressway came through and took our home. And that was the year that I was the first generation that went to college.
It's kind of like the time has just gone by, but at the time that we have been on the South Side, it's been a wonderful era because our children all grew up with friends and families that looked after them like their children. We had a village, and I lived on Dwight Street. And during the time of me on the South Side, noticing the changes that were taking place, my husband was Catholic and I became Catholic and joined Christ the King Catholic Church. And the expressway, of course, was instrumental in the removal of it on Clifford Street because Father Duquette started the church in 1929. And there were over 200 families. So because of the displacement of the church, we built another church on Seymour Street. And from there, we're still on Seymour Street. We built another church across from that.
We survived, say what you want to, but we survived we made a middle class here.
Yes.
You take most of the people retired, they got pensions, and I had a friend of mine that grew up with me on 9th Street, and he got to be a banker. And on the north side there, the people was white people. What they do, they would just sell one house to a black, and then they bust the block out. The block out.
Everybody going.
Right. And then the whites would move out at that time, But he told me, he says, I told the priest to get up in the church and announce it and tell them that the people that were moving in was better off financially than they were. Because all we could buy is Cadillacs then. We couldn't buy nothing else. So we started out here and we built out here, And so we were making the same money. Most of us, a lot of us was, And so we had good bank accounts, but couldn't buy houses, You're right. In fact, what they used to do when I was peddling papers, they just put it in the paper, colored.
Yep.
Colored buyer, that. And then if you wanted it downtown, and if they hadn't have a job, they would say, nice looking, light complected colored girl woman.
The memories are there.
Yes.
But the thing that's upsetting, the replacement, it's much more than a barbecue grill or a park. There should be something more tangible. Because when you look back at the memories, everything is gone. But just to reflect back at all of the good that was there, there's no amount of money that could ever repay that. But I think something tangible would make you feel that it was worth it. And that's the problem that I do have. from remembering from the expressway coming through, especially the north end. It replaced my sister's, she was in Flushing for 70 years, and so she had to move, and it just replaced so much. Some of them left Flint, and it left Flint in a devastation that we're experiencing now that our children really don't understand. And of course, you can tear down, but you should rebuild something for the remembrance. That's my point. Something tangible.
Because we wouldn't be where we are if we had not grown up on the South Side. And I think people don't realize that strength, okay, and people pulling together and giving you encouragement and, you know, whatever you needed, it was there, okay, and just pushing you on and on and on.
You need to know the history of what's going on, because some of that stuff is still going on. We still facing racism. Even as a police officer, you know, there's racism that's going on. And you got to realize, even though you might think this stuff had happened back a long time ago, we're still facing it. We're still facing it.
Human being has to do that. Until we can eradicate the attitudes of I'm better than you, and go to church on Sunday with that feeling and come out the door with that same feeling, we're never going to change. It's in your heart. Look in your heart and you find nothing wrong. What is there to fear? Please heal yourselves.
It's another 6, 7, 8 years, but we're gonna come back.
Flint is
Home.
Flint is
Wonderful to me.
Flint is worth saving.